everyone. This is Sean Bradley, a dealer of Synergy and Automotive Internet Sales, and I want to kind of go over the custom model for Toyota Grand Rapids, all right? So I want to make sure, because there was a little bit of confusion when I was speaking to the managers, there's two main processes. There's two separate processes. The first process is the follow-up process. The follow-up process is a methodical for the first 31 straight days. Email, phone call, 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 email, phone call. That might seem a little bit psychotic, but there's a real legitimate reason. And I'm not going to ever tell you something without the reason why you should be doing it. First and foremost, you got to realize, as per JD Power, NADA, Dealer Synergy, and all the other people that are tracking this stuff, an internet prospect is a 45 to 90 day opportunity. 45 to 90 days. All right. Second thing is the average internet prospect is searching 5 to 8 other dealerships, not just Toyota. It could be Honda, Nissan, whatever. Now, they're spending X amount of time, about 6 hours online, 11 hours online, doing some formal research. But the point is this: again, as per current market research, your connection ratios on the phone. Ladies, you've been doing this for a long time, right? You're not on camera. You can just your voices are yes or no.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and is it safe to say? I'm just teasing you. Is it safe to say that the hardest part of this whole entire internet thing is just get somebody on the phone?
Yes. That's correct.
Louder?
Yes.
Okay, so finally, that's because it's not your fault. Even an expert, you have an 11 to 14% connection ratio on the phones. So if you make 120 phone calls in a day, at best, at a 14% connection ratio, it's only 16.8 connections, 17 people. So again, that's why if you only make 30 to 40 phone calls in a day, it's crazy because the vast majority of those you're not going to get a hold of. So that's why you have to have a higher volume of attempts, because there's such a reality of a small amount of connections. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, now the emails. Emails can range from, it depends on your type of email, you know, the content, the structure, anywhere from a 12% to 20% read open rate. So if you send an email every other day or every 3 days, whatever, it's not good. But now, for that to work so it doesn't blow up in your face, you need to have a library of strong email templates that have a solid call to action. The purpose of every single email, no matter what the customer wants, wishes, asks for, you can give that, but you're going to call to action. They want to know about price, availability, etc. In your email, it's going to say, Mr. Customer, I got that information. Please give me a call at 555-1212 to go over those details. You want to try to escalate as quickly as possible from the email to the phone call. Now, I'm throwing a lot of information, that's why this is recorded. Here's why. There's a science of communication. 55% of communication is visual perception and body language. 38% of communication is sound and inflection. Only 7% of communication is text with the words we use. So that's why, you know, email sells the phone call call sells the appointment builds the relationship, product presentation, and then, hopefully demo drive delivery of the vehicle. Make sense?
Yeah.
So now to go back, email, phone call, email, phone call, email, phone call. You guys have AVV as your lead management tool. You should never, and this is one of the problems that the managers are saying to me, you should never send a customized email at first. You should not do that. I don't care if the customer says, you know, email me only and there's no phone number. You should still try to call them. What if I don't have a phone number? You find the phone number, do a reverse lookup on 411anywho.com. You take their email address, you cut it and paste it into Facebook, into Twitter, into Google, and you try to get contact information. Okay, and that's 100% legal and ethical, etc. Even if they're on the do not call registry, if they send you an internet purchase request, you've got 90 days to engage them at will, legally, okay? And here, I'm a New Yorker, and this is a New York state of mind. You cannot lose something you never had. Do you follow me on that? You can't lose something you never had, so take the shot. So now, to go back to this, your AVV system should be, which it's not right now, set up day 1, email 1, day 2, email 2, day 3, you know, that's the way it should be. That's the way it was, but it all fell apart. We'll get back to that in a little bit later. My point being here is that email, phone call, if everything is operating on all 4 cylinders and the computer is executing email, the coordinators and ISM should be phone call. That's it. Now time out. No, don't stop. But let me explain this to you. We're still only in the follow-up process. We got to turn around. Can somebody turn around and hit the, it's sleeping on Mike's computer over there. You got to also realize something is that the whole goal, no, the other computer, Mike's computer, yeah, just touch it. The whole idea, just so you guys all understand here, and this is very, very, very important, is that the goal is just to try to escalate one of those forms of communication. So if you're emailing, calling, if you're emailing, calling, I'm not worried about the blue screen. If you're
Okay.
email, calling, email, calling. Say again? You good?
Yep.
All right. If you're email, calling, what we're trying to do is escalate to a communication, right? So let me be specific. If the computer sends an email template and the prospect emails you back, then it's no longer in a follow-up process. Then all the automation stops, and it's going to be handled on a case-by-case basis. See, because the follow-up process is one thing, and then there's the engagement process. The engagement process is every time, without exception, without fail, is on a case-by-case basis. The reason why we're doing the methodical email, phone call is that we're hoping and praying that, you know, if the computer sends them the email template, that the customer is going to respond to that. Or if we leave them a voicemail message, they're going to call you back, or if we call them, they're going to answer the phone. My deal energy system is not, and I repeat, not to turn around and perpetuate that email, phone call after communication's been engaged. The reason why we have that blitzkrieg methodical follow-up is because we have such a small amount of emails that are open and a small amount of phone calls that are answered to people that are, you know, in the market to buy cars. Does that make sense? So process one is the methodical email, phone call for the first 31 days. And then, you know, the process two is the engagement process. And depending what the person says in the email is going to dictate how you're going to respond and when the next contact is. Depending on what the phone call conversation yielded is going to dictate what the next contact schedule is going to be. Let's just talk about phones for a second, because that's the majority of the magic happens on the phones. If you've got a prospect on the phone, only a couple things are going to happen. Either you made the appointment or you didn't make the appointment. If you made the appointment, great. You log the appointment, schedule it, and then, you know, the ISMs are ready to intercept them when they come in, and then take it from there to build a relationship, product presentation, demo drive, value package, and try to, you know, gain commitment, right? However, let's just turn around and say that you didn't make the appointment. There's only one of two possible scenarios. Either you couldn't make the appointment because you couldn't overcome an objection, an expectation, or it's just a difficult person, or you just didn't know where to go with it, so you set up for a quality TO. You gather as much information as possible and set up for a quality TO. Make sense? Or the majority, it goes into a different category, that you couldn't make the appointment, but you didn't need to TO because they were like, I'm just thinking about it, like I told my wife, I'm still looking at this, I'm waiting for a check to come through, oh, my back, my head, it's my birthday, it's the anniversary. There's 50 million things, and it doesn't need to be TO, but you couldn't spot the appointment right then and there. So it's just a continuing follow-up. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we have two separate processes. Process one is the follow-up, which is the methodical engagement, and methodical system. And then the second process is the engagement process, where it's going to be handled on a case-by-case basis. Does that make sense? Okay, the next thing I'm going to go to is this. Is that follow me with the camera? So I'm just going to go here to Mike's system for AVV. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and the big screen's over here, I'm going to pull up Mike's.
Me down.
We're on a thing here. So when I pull up, now push the camera on there. So you see that right there. Okay, what should happen is this, which we're at Grand Rapids, right? When you come in, which is not set up the right way, you should be coming in and you should be able to handle the fresh leads first. After you handle just the fresh leads, there should be, as you know, that there's the icon with the red flag, which you don't see right here. Those are all the responses. So when you come in, let's take it even a step further back. When you come in, the first thing you should be doing is your 3-minute books. Okay, so let's just put this in clear order. The very first thing you should do is be doing your 3-minute books. Okay, what I mean by that is as soon as you come into your shift, what you want to be able to do is come in and then sit down, and then here, I'm going to pull this up. Let's pretend this is you. You're going to sit down and you're going to open up your 3-minute book. You're going to look at the first section for a minute, then you're going to, which is the things that you're trying to acquire. You know, the laws of attraction manifestation. And you're going to go through, after you looked at your 3-minute book and all the things that you want and why you're working so hard, you're going to go to your second section of your 3-minute book, which is your roadmap, your pay plan, what to do, when to do it, your time frames per hour, per day, per week, etc. Your roadmap. And then your third section of your 3-minute book is going to be what? It's going to be your scorecard. What am I measuring? Today and month to date. How many leads did I have today and month to date? How many attempts did I try to call these people today, month to date? How many connections today, month to date? How many appointments today, month to date? How many confirmations today, month to date? how many shows today, month to date, and how many deliveries today, month to date. And then when you're done with your 3-minute book, it takes you 3 stinking minutes. Then you're going to go to your AVB. So first is your 3-minute book, then your AVB. And your AVB should be set up where you're going to be able to handle your fresh leads. After you handle your fresh leads, you're going to handle your responses. Then after you handle the responses, guess what you're going to do? You're going to come over here, and you're going to go in and you're going to click your active leads. Right now I'm in all users, but I go to, Emma, whoever, I go into, your individual file. And then I'd start at the top and just go down the list. Phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call, and then you're going to get someone in the phone. And guess what? Then you're going to go through your dealing with your 10-step phone process, right? Then what you're going to do is if you either make the appointment or don't, you go on to the next one. That's what you want to do. Now I'm going to come back over there. Let me jump in. Keep it over here. Let me just get this on here. Time check. We've got 2 more minutes for me. Okay. Now do you understand this? Once you go through your list and you're all active, because there's not going to be a lot of people in your fresh leads, you know that, and a lot of people in your responses. There should be some, but it's not going to be like 100. You're going to go to your all active and like a machine, phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call, phone call, get somebody, work them, or TO them, and then go on to the next one. But here's a couple things you've got to remember. And this is, you're hurt because on Fridays you leave here at 6 o'clock, which is ludicrous. Prime time is between 6 and 8 p.m. It's like telling my Puerto Rican wife, which she's going to be watching this, that on Black Friday she's got to stop shopping at noontime. She'll cut me. Not going to happen. It doesn't make any sense, right? What you want to be able to do is have a cognizant understanding that there's 2 time frames of phone engagement with your internet prospects. Before 5 o'clock and then between 6 and 8. Okay, not after 5, not 5:30. Okay, there's a whole time section when people are at work from 9 to 5. And then the prime time for connecting is between 6 and 8 p.m. So you want to be cognizant when you're going through this list. It's not good, you shouldn't feel like, woo, just because you got through your list. So what? Because if you got through your list, it's only 5 o'clock. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're not going to get through everybody. So theoretically, I know this is impossible, but you theoretically should try to figure out a way how you can get through your list twice in a day. Once between 9 and 5, and the people that you didn't get a hold of, you know what I mean, again between 6 and 8. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm just saying this, but not just for you, for the ISMs and for everybody else that's going to be watching this video. You want to methodically follow up like a machine. Don't get distracted with anything else. You don't try to sell the car over the email. Don't try to sell the car over the phone. Don't try to do any of that stuff. I'll go through phone process and etiquette in a second. I just want to go through the overall process. Email, phone call for 31 straight days, and then the engagement process. And then again, what do you do when you first come in? You open up your 3-minute books. You do the 3 minutes on the 3-minute books. Then you go into your fresh leads, then your responses. Then you click all active. Start from the top, work your way down. Okay, and then you start from the top, work your way down. Stop video.